The most exhausting thing in life, I have discovered, is being insincere. When you love someone, you do not love them all the time, in exactly the same way, from moment to moment. It is an impossibility. It is even a lie to pretend to. And yet this is exactly what most of us demand. We have so little faith in the ebb and flow of life, of love, of relationships. We leap at the flow of the tide and resist in terror its ebb. We are afraid it will never return. We insist on permanency, on duration, on continuity. When the only continuity possible, in life as in love, is in growth, in fluidity, in freedom, in the sense that the dancers are free, barely touching as they pass, but partners in the same pattern. The only real security is not in owning or possessing, not in demanding or expecting, not in hoping, even. Security in a relationship lies neither in looking back to what was in nostalgia, nor forward to what it might be in dread or anticipation, but living in the present relationship and accepting it as it is now. Relationships must be like islands. One must accept them for what they are here and now, within their limits. Islands, surrounded and interrupted by the sea, and continually visited and abandoned by the tides. Don't wish me happiness. I don't expect to be happy all the time. It's gotten beyond that somehow. Wish me courage and strength and a sense of humor. I will need them all. I do not believe that sheer suffering teaches. If suffering alone taught, all the world would be wise, since everyone suffers. To suffering must be added mourning, understanding, patience, love, openness, and the willingness to remain vulnerable. Good communication is as stimulating as black coffee and just as hard to sleep after. The most exhausting thing in life, I have discovered, is being insincere. That is why so much of social life is exhausting. One is wearing a mask. I have shed my mask. It takes as much courage to have tried and failed as it does to have tried and succeeded. Women need solitude in order to find again the true essence of themselves. The sea does not reward those who are too anxious, too greedy, or too impatient. To dig for treasures shows not only impatience and greed, but lack of faith. Patience, 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 is what the sea teaches. patience and faith. One should lie empty, open, choiceless as a beach, waiting for a gift from the sea. Only love can be divided endlessly and still not diminish. Security in a relationship lies neither in looking back to what it was in nostalgia, nor forward to what it might be in dread or anticipation, but living in the present relationship and accepting it as it is now. I find there is a quality to being alone that is incredibly precious. Life rushes back into the void, richer, more vivid, fuller than before. When you love someone, you do not love them all the time, in exactly the same way, from moment to moment. It is an impossibility. The shape of my life is, of course, determined by many things: my background and childhood, my mind and its education, my conscience and its pressures, my heart and its desires. Purity of intention, a central core to my life that will enable me to carry out these obligations and activities as well as I can. I want. In fact, to borrow from the language of the saints, to live in grace as much of the time as possible. I am not using this term in a strictly theological sense. By grace I mean an inner harmony, essentially spiritual, which can be translated into outward harmony. Men kick friendship around like a football, but it doesn't seem to crack. Women treat it like glass and it goes to pieces. Parting is inevitably painful, even for a short time. It's like an amputation. I feel a limb is being torn off, without which I shall be unable to function. And yet, once it is done, life rushes back into the void, richer, more vivid and fuller than before. It isn't for the moment you are struck that you need courage, but for that long uphill climb back to sanity and faith and security. This is what one thirsts for, I realize, after the smallness of the day, of work, of details, of intimacy, even of communication. One thirsts for the magnitude and universality of a night full of stars, pouring into one like a fresh tide. 379 I believe that what a woman resents is not so much giving herself in pieces as giving herself purposelessly. What we fear is not so much that our energy may be leaking away through small outlets as that it may be going down the drain. This is not the life of simplicity but the life of multiplicity that the wise men warn us of. It leads not to unification but to fragmentation. It does not bring grace, it destroys the soul. In the job of homekeeping there is no raise from the boss, and seldom praise from others to show us we have hit the mark. Except for the child, woman's creation is often invisible, especially today.